with, I'm going to say it, the legendary at this point, Jeff Hardy. How are you, brother?
Good, brother. Good.
Oh, I'm so glad to get you Survivor Series weekend, as the people can see. And I'm going to start hot, Jeff. I'm going to come in with a hot question. I was able to speak to Undertaker last year, which was a pleasure in itself. And the question I asked him was about the legendary ladder match that you had in 2002. And it was awesome to get his perspective of he said, I didn't want to work a ladder match. He was like, why am I in a ladder match? I don't want to do this. And then obviously it's turned into this kind of iconic moment where, for a lot of people, you really broke out. What do you remember about, trying to put together a ladder match with The Undertaker and just the feedback after that? Because, Undertaker was saying that Vince was so happy.
Yeah, it was weird because, ladders were my thing at that time, my big thing. From all the TLC matches and whatnot. For Taker to do that for me, a match for me, was just huge for my career in general, especially my solo career without Matt. It just did wonders for me. And just putting together spots with The Undertaker. One of my fondest memories is getting on his Harley, out there and pretending like I was doing a knack-knack on a dirt bike. that pissed him off, and then he came after me. But just the whole story of the underdog versus the man, the legend, and he can't keep the underdog down, and I just, no matter what he did to me, and then for him to come out there and show the sign of respect by raising my hand, and then me collapsing and Raw going off the air with me looking at my hand, did that just really happen?
Yeah.
It was a miracle, that's for sure.
Matt, do you remember, backstage, was everyone just kind of like, that's a home run?
Yeah, everybody was very pleased. I don't know if we got the standing ovation. I think we might have, but everybody was very pleased with the match, and it was very deserving.
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, the other thing I want to talk about, legendary feuds for Jeff Hardy, I think the CM Punk feud, I mean, you've done a lot between the two feuds we're talking about now. That was kind of on your way out of WWE at that point, but it was still such an iconic one where, really helped cement CM Punk. Obviously, legendary moments with your world title runs and things. And there was alleged bitter taste at some points with that. How have you come back to kind of appreciate that feud, looking back on it now, years later?
One of the most amazing things, and when it comes to me and pro wrestling, I think we're so, it as a whole and me as an individual, we're so unpredictable to a certain extent, but with CM Punk, when I had to retire because he beat me in that cage match, I said this one thing, I was like, this is not goodbye forever, it's only goodbye for now. And 9 years later, man, I finally stayed true to what I'd said that night.
I was there when you came back.
Yeah, and
unbelievable.
I just didn't know, but so, man, it took a while, but hey, I'm back. And so I wasn't lying when I said that. After such an emotional time, people crying, and people to this day who are much older now than they were watching that match, you say, oh man, me and my brother, me and my sister was crying, man, we couldn't believe you left. But man, you came back, after you said that about this is not forever, it's not goodbye forever, it's only goodbye for now, and which it took a while, but it was true.
Is it cool as well where, just staying on that topic for a second, you've obviously got this new lease of life. I saw Matt's tweet yesterday where you're in a really great place and you can enjoy your wrestling. CM Punk seems to have found to do the same. It's kind of cool that you've both come from there now and you're both enjoying a new lease of life.
Yeah, and even with CM Punk, the controversial kind of storyline between us, with him being the straight edge, completely sobered guy, me being the guy with drug issues. I mean, it was that just made it very real, to a certain extent. And I think in the long run, that's kind of what made it really good as well. But even for him and Matt to be over in that other wrestling world doing really well, it's just so cool to see us, all three of us, later in life, still performing like we perform to the best of our abilities. It's just incredible.
I mean, speaking of Matt, again, that tweet I thought was really nice yesterday. And he said before that he thinks you two will finish your story together, kind of the way you started it. Do you think that would be poetic for you, wherever it may be? Here, anywhere?
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's going to be one more reunion. And I've been saying this a lot, even at my music shows, because people are crazy about the, WWE or AEW. But yeah, I think it's going to happen. I'm not sure where, but that's why it's kind of exciting. It could happen anywhere, man. Wrestling is very unpredictable, and contracts expire, people get released, all kinds of stuff happens. So we'll see, man. I think our paths will cross the same direction again to reunite one more time.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about in terms of your, because you've got so many feuds. When I go, you're going to talk to Jeff Hardy today. I was like, oh God, where do I start? But you said you wanted to do a Hell in a Cell. You got to do that with Randy. It came off great. Are there any other things on that bucket list where you're like, man, there's a kind of match or a situation or a stage that I really want to kind of get in?
Yeah, I think Hell in a Cell was kind of on my bucket list, and I'd even mentioned about I would like to do one more. I think I'm good with just the one, though. I mean, after that, because I smashed my ankle pretty good when I was hanging from the top, and it hurt me for a pretty long while. But yeah, I think I'm all right with that one Hell in a Cell. But I have this weird, I'm out there, but I have this weird idea for this like upward spiral match or something to where, I don't know if you know this, but back in the day, WCW used to film at Universal Studios Orlando, and it was on a stage.
That would be King Woods. Yeah.
But the ring would spin. It would spin, and even as a little kid watching, it was implanted in my brain. I was going, what if there was a match to where like you wrestle for like 5 minutes, but then there's like a doot doot doot, the ring starts spinning. And then it spins, at a certain speed for a certain amount of time, and then you can stop, or whatever. Naturally, you get dizzy, but then another 2 minutes or whatever, it starts to spin again, but it's a little faster. But I'm just curious, as if you can run spots as the ring's spinning and be safe about it.
Yeah, I mean,
the upward spiral match.
I'd like to see the upward spiral match. I mean, I'll tell you another thing I'd like to see while we're talking about that. Like, I think the story's there. Like, the greatest daredevil in WWE history, willing to risk it all again for one shot at the title. Like Jeff Hardy in the title picture, is that something you're determined to see, or have you made it clear that you believe you've got another one in you there? Yeah,
it's my go-to topic when it comes to my goals, as far as like I've never been the Universal Champion, and the bloodline's so powerful now in pro wrestling. In my opinion, the biggest thing in pro wrestling, and I just kind of see myself being in that mix for a while. I'd probably end up getting smashed eventually, but I would love the opportunity to be the Universal Champion before my career's over.
Yeah, I think the story's there, man. Like that, that's
totally is,
that's shot again. But do you know another thing that I don't think we've really touched on when you're Legendary Feud? Just one that I really enjoyed. When the two-man power trip were really getting into gear, and the Hardy Boys kind of got in their crosshairs, you won the IC title from Triple H in that period. Now, I know it was a short reign, but it was really impactful at the time. It was like, wow, Jeff Hardy scored the victory over Triple H. Like, have you got any kind of memories of working in and amongst that time and getting that, validation of, hey, the IC title now?
Yeah, it was another surreal childhood dream, man. Like when I knew I was going to win the IC title, I mean, my hair was bright red. I was young and felt invincible, and I knew I was going to have my brother's help to win it, but still, it was just someone saying, wow, somebody sees something in me that has a bunch of potential. And again, just being the tag team champions, but then my first singles title, being the Intercontinental title, I mean, it's crazy. And now I can look back on my career and say that I've had it like five times, I believe now.
Yeah.
Which is just insane. I'm just so blessed, man. It's not me doing it by myself. Now that we're back in front of live audiences, man, the people have been so good with me out there, so it's we do it together.
I think as well, like when it comes to like your career and how legendary it's been and stuff, I look at someone like Kurt Angle, right? And he didn't have as many Daredevil matches as you do, but he says like he's in pain every day, basically. Like, how do you feel, man? Like, I don't want to say how long do you think you've got left or anything, but just day to day in your body, like, what does it take to maintain for Jeff Hardy?
Yeah, my main thing is, man, I did yoga for a while, but I just picked my favorite ones that felt right for my body.
Yeah.
Every morning, that's the first thing I do, along with my prayers and my meditation and my yoga, and then I get cardio in every morning when I'm able. I mean, there's times when my neck and back are beat up, probably the most. My knee's weak. That was my last surgery, was my knee. I came back from that. But yeah, overall, man, I can't complain, man. And maintenance too. Like after every match, I ice my neck and my back and my knee if need be. But yeah, man, I just a little bit of maintenance with some ice after every match and a little bit of heat on the back before the match, and everything's been really good. It's really amazing. Dude.
Yeah, I was about to say. I've got a few more before we have to finish up here, and these are kind of like personal to Jeff Hardy questions. Okay. What was your first car, brother?
First car?
Yeah.
My first car was a Dodge Chrysler Aries K. And I know I was so embarrassed to drive it because Matt was really good in school, straight A's.
Yeah?
I just always excelled in art. Everything else was just average. But being that Matt got straight A's, he got a really nice Honda CRX.
Yeah.
But I drove one of my dad's old mail cars called an Aries Chrysler, some kind of Aries K car or something like that. But I'll never forget driving to school after it, and I was just so embarrassed because I didn't feel as cool as Matt, but I wasn't as smart as Matt in my classes. So it all worked out.
Yeah, I was about to say, you got there. What about, I know you started wrestling like ridiculously young, but did you have a first job that was non-wrestling?
Yeah, my first job was working at Goodyear Tire, like working with tires all day, and it just wasn't for me. Thank God my buddy had a landscaping business. While we were still in high school, I started doing landscaping, and I still to this day mow all my own grass, do all my own weed eating, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I naturally, a lot of people are aware that I weed eat designs in grass. It's a very cool medium, but a lot of work. But yeah, I still enjoy that to this day. So if I wasn't a wrestler, I'm sure I'd own a landscaping business.
Yeah. Are you? How long did you last at the tires?
I wound it up.
How long did you last in the tire job?
1 day.
1 day?
Yeah, 1 day.
Did you just say, no thanks, not for me?
1 day I just said, I'm sorry, boss. I must delete this job.
What was the last big purchase you made?
Big purchase?
Yeah.
The last big purchase I made, let's see, the last big purchase I made. Wow, I was going to say I paid my taxes, but that's really not a purchase.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure it's big though.
Yeah, that was way too big. But yeah, the last was probably our Cadillac CTSV. It's like a Cadillac with a Corvette motor in it. That was probably the last one. And it was for my wife because she loved it, and it's a really fun car to drive.
Oh, I was going to say, you've come a long way from the first car.
Oh, yeah, from the Aries K. Yeah, you're right. Cadillac CTSV.
What's the most memorable, like, pep talk or just talk you've had with Vince McMahon that springs to mind?
Oh, the most memorable talk. Let me see. It's probably the one. It never leaves my mind. But when we talk about my career, it was when I was in high school. I was very young, wrestling for the WWE. I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
Back when it was the nobodies versus the superstars. But my athletic director at high school had questioned me and said, Jeffrey, are you making, because I came to school and say, hey, y'all got to watch Monday Night Raw tonight. Yeah. I'm going to get my ass kicked on there. It's going to be awesome. So then the word gets around. He goes, Jeffrey, are you making money for doing this wrestling on TV? I said, yeah, we make a little bit. The guy takes a big booking fee, but we make about $50. You can't do that. That'd be like you playing in the NFL and coming back and playing football for us. I was like, but sir, it's not. It's a little different. It's a little different.
Just a little.
But yeah, it's not really like that at all. But you know, again, I didn't play sports the remainder of my high school career. But I continued to pro wrestling, and it paid off.
Yeah. Like in those young early days, did Vince kind of give you much to talk? Like, do you know what I mean? Did he give you much guidance, or did he get onto your radar a bit later, would you say?
Yeah, we get into the radar a little bit later, and I've never had too many one-on-ones at all with Vince. You know, naturally, like some of the trouble, there were some long, good talks, and but yeah, he's just like such an intimidating human being. You know, it's like, this genius, the madman genius, and just he's so smart at what he does. I mean, it's just. Yeah, there's not been many one-on-ones at all, man. I need to get to know him a little better, I guess. I mean, I am 44 now. So.
I mean, last one then, man. I know it's a question you get asked all the time, but everyone was so excited about the tease, the character change. Everyone wants to see some of those old characters that we beloved in Impact and whatever come back. I can't imagine a world where I would dislike Jeff Hardy. But what are your ideas in moving that forward? Like, how would you envisage that being presented, and have you had the chance yet to kind of say to them, look, I'd like to go in this direction, or I'm thinking about this? Like, where are we along that road?
All right now, the image has to be just right, and I'm going to put the pressure on my mask maker now because there's a new mask in the process of being made, and I think once I see that, if it fits good and it feels right, then my mind is going to go crazy. Okay, this is going to happen.
Do we think it has to be Willow? Is going to be like a version of that?
It has to be a version of Willow, probably. I think the same look, but I don't even know if Willow, as far as the name, there's so many people called Willow, so many things called Willow. I don't know. Willow, naturally, the word is out there. Even, recently it shows. I mean, there's some people in the crowd going, "Where's Willow? Where's Willow?" And I just go, "It's right here." Yeah. But I think maybe he's what needs to be unleashed in me, like overall. Even in my music shows, I kind of do the laugh and the "we love, we hate, we die forever late" in his voice, and it's fun to do that voice because it's like a thing that comes so natural to me. And so it'd be really fun to really expand that in WWE. I mean, gosh, I can see it being huge. If
you think you will?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
This is actually the last one now. It just came to my mind. The bump I saw you take, right, with Rob Van Dam, it's on SmackDown. You literally explode the ladder. 2001. You remember this? You go up for the big swanton. This is probably like the hardest question you'll ever answer. Like, that looked like an awful bump. It looked like it was. Can you What would you say is your worst bump? What's the worst bump Jeff Hardy's ever taken?
That was it. If you're talking about the one where I went through the table vertical, like instead of sideways.
Yeah, so it's on the outside.
And it just exploded.
Yeah.
It was just straight to my back, and it was, oh
It
my
looked
God.
bad.
It knocked the wind out of me. The worst ever. Like when it comes to bumps, that hurt the most as far as getting the wind knocked out in my lower back just for the next few weeks. Oh, it was rough, and I was like, okay, I don't think I ever want to go through a table like that vertical again.
Yeah.
But I just had to do it in my head. I said, let me do it. I think it's gonna be all right. And I went right through the framing and to the floor, and wow, yeah.
Because you're right, that is the unconventional way. For those who don't appreciate what Jeff's saying, watching this, typically, let's say you're a 3D, you go through the table like that way. But if we're talking long ways, Jeff went flip straight through.
Yeah.
It just exploded it.
It totally did. Yeah. Yeah, and it hurt. I even went through one upside down in the other wrestling world. I don't know why. I said, I think I can go through one upside down, and I just tried to do a cannonball through it, but that was that hurt like crazy. But I got it out of here, and that's the main thing.
Yeah.
I just had to get it out of here.
It's like, now we know.
Yeah.
don't do
And
that.
I thank everybody involved in the match. Thank y'all for letting me get that out of here. I never want to do that again.